The 3 knockdown rule is back in effect. I'm Steve Kim, joined by our March Madness, Mario Lopez.
Hey, thank you. Right,
Survive in advance.
Surviving in advance, and exactly. Buffalo Knuckles on the 1s and 2s.
Or Billy Packer.
Oh, I was going to give him our Zion, but all right.
Yeah. A little bit more on my boys at Duke later. We've got a lot to talk about here this weekend. Mario, last week it was speculated that Deontay Wilder, who has an upcoming WBC mandatory against Dominic Beasy Brazil, would be fighting on Fox. He'd be on Fox pay-per-view. Well, it turns out he's on Showtime, regular Showtime, May 18th. So I don't know what to really think about this. The current landscape of heavyweight boxing, we have 3 titans all at 3 different platforms. I have to tell you right now, the heavyweight division, it's a bit of a mess.
It is, and it's unfortunate because we actually have some talent, and it was just getting exciting. And, it looked like we were going to get the rematch with Fury, or at least all signs pointed that way, and then the inevitable showdown with Joshua, being that if he gets by Miller, it seemed like it was all going to work out. Then all of a sudden, poof. It just it just sort of vanished in nada. Now, being the eternal optimist that I am, I'm hoping they all honor their commitments to these new deals, and then they figure out a way to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's too much money left on the table for it not to happen. And I feel they'd be doing themselves a disservice, and I don't think that they'd be able to continue to take their career to the next level and manipulate what's really out there with these matchups if they don't learn how to coincide and work together. They have to at this point, because the heavyweight division is the straw that stirs the drink.
Yes, I spoke to Shelly Finkel, the manager of Deontay Wilder. Here's what he told me late last week about why they turned down the lucrative offer from the Zone and other notes about the Bronze Bomber.
Shelly, the question everyone has is that Deontay Wilder, you're one of his representatives. You guys met with the Zone. I think a lot of people know about the 9-figure offer. At the end of the day, you guys decided to go another direction. You'll be fighting on Showtime against Dominic Brazil May 18th. Shelly, why this particular decision?
A lot of reasons. First of all, part of their offer, the first fight, was Dominic Brazil. So we're fighting Dominic Brazil anyway. And instead of on a small audience, it'll be a lot bigger audience.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think anyone doubts, if we want to go back in the next fight to fight Joshua, that won't be there if it was before, and for at least the same amount of money, if not more.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of speculation, Shelly. I don't know if you can clear this up, but is Deontay on the verge, or has he signed a multi-fight agreement with Showtime?
No, he hasn't signed a multi-fight with anyone.
Mm-hmm. Is that a possibility?
It is a possibility, but there are other possibilities out there also.
Mm-hmm. We've talked pretty often the last few weeks, Shelly, about this whole process. If you were a gambling man, which I don't know if you are or not, do you believe that Wilder, Joshua happens in 2019?
I doubt it the way they are. Look, last Tuesday, 3 days ago, there was a press conference for Deontay. And I know what I said, and what I said was the offer from the Zone on the 2-fight Joshua, I believe Deontay knocks at Joshua, and I don't believe as a result the second fight would happen, because it would also hurt Matchroom in trying to revive and hurt their business.
Mm-hmm.
And Eddie went crazy. I don't know if you've seen what he said.
I saw the interview.
Put me out of business. Have him do that. I said, what is he talking about? But he's a little deeper, and I guess, he wanted everything his way. And if you're going to make something happen, you got to be a little flexible. There were a lot of things that we had to bend in order to make the Fury fight the first time. It wasn't all one way.
So, Mario, 2 takeaways from my conversation with Shelly Finkel. Number 1, he says that it's not a multi-fight deal with Showtime. I'm hearing it's inevitable. It will be a 3-fight deal. And the other thing is he's blunt. He flat out says he does not think a Wilder-Joshua fight will happen in 2019. So the question is, when? When?
Oh no, we don't want Mayweather Pacquiao all over
Spoiled
again.
milk.
Spoiled milk. And listen, those guys are in some real fights where it could upset the apple cart. Is that the expression? And
You never know.
It won't be as appealing. I mean, Miller could pull off an upset. It'd be a long shot, but it is possible. If the Fury fight does happen prior, he definitely could beat Deontay in that fight. So I think sooner rather than later. They are each. It's become a swinging contest. Fill in the blank.
Yeah.
Where I think they have more leverage than they do. But I'm always of the mindset that better business is to make it happen when it can. Do things when they should be done, as opposed to letting them marinate and having a plan where they eventually meet, because too many things can happen in this sport.
Yeah, Mario, quick question. If you believe the numbers that are out there for the zone and what was offered to Deontay Wilder for an Anthony Joshua fight, and we've heard these figures, $40 million, $50 million,
Right.
$100+ million package, do you believe Wilder, as they say in Texas, is doing business, or is it ducking?
Look, the numbers speak for themselves, so I don't know who got in his head, because I don't see him making that type of money with anyone else.
Agreed.
Right? So I don't know who got in his head or who got in his pocket. Maybe there's some shady. This is boxing, so there could be a little money, cash on the side, and suitcases and stuff. I mean, this is literally that's literally happened before and not too long ago. So we don't know what's behind or what's not being said, because he's if you just got to be above average intelligence to figure out, my God, that's the biggest payday. And I think he's confident enough when we've shown that he has a lot of confidence in himself, where I don't know why he wouldn't want to take him up, especially when he's looked a little susceptible.
Shelley Finkel has made it very clear the last 3 weeks, no matter what top rank in ESPN is offering and whatever Eddie Hearn in the zone is offering, Deontay Wilder is going to make the same amount of money. So then the question becomes, who in the world is financing that? I mean, there's not that much public interest in Dominic Breazeale, who's thought of as kind of a decent big-size heavyweight that already got knocked out by Anthony Joshua.
No, Wilder hasn't transcended. He's not at that point. If
No.
he were to face Joshua, then okay. He's not there yet.
Mario, this for Showtime is a much-needed addition to their boxing schedule. This is what Steven Espinoza, the head of Showtime Sports, had to say about the acquisition of this fight and this network's future.
Right now we're joined by the head of Showtime Sports, Steven Espinoza. And Steven, the question's very simple, in the words of Mark Twain, after the announcement you guys made about Deontay Wilder, Dominic Breazeale. Were the rumors of your guys' demise in the world of boxing greatly exaggerated?
When I kept hearing, really two sources, Eddie Hearn and Bob Arum, say that we're either out of money or going out of business, going out of the boxing business, or both. It never occurred to me that anyone would take that seriously. I mean, people tend to have a pretty short memory, but if you remember back last fall, we announced a 3-year deal with PBC. And, so it's sort of self-evident that we're clearly in it for the long run. I'm not even suggesting that, it's 3 years now, but, there's ample evidence that, we're in this to stay. It's been almost 35 years and we're not going anywhere.
Steven, it's interesting with the Breazeale-Wilder fight. There's so much speculation about what platform was it going to be on pay-per-view. How close was it to actually being a pay-per-view event?
Well, I understand. Most people thought that, you're looking at the landscape and the kind of offers that Deontay had attracted, that in order to compete with that, we would need the revenue generated pay-per-view. And that's, often it's a safe assumption. That is one way. But, I think consistently when you and I have talked both on and off the record, we try to resist making pay-per-view decisions based solely on finances. Like, typically when you're saying, look, I'm going to pay-per-view because that's the only way to pay for it, or I'm out of budget, or, I need to recoup some money, that's generally not a great programming decision. If it's not also accompanied by evaluation of, is this truly a premium pay-per-view level fight? And Breazeale is credible. He's the mandatory. There's a history there. There's a storyline there. Is he, one of the top tier elite heavyweights that
that merits a pay-per-view? Probably not. Deontay is pretty open about that. So I think we definitely evaluated the pay-per-view, but pretty quickly we looked at it and said, look, is there a way to structure this, and can we sort of bite the bullet and come up with enough money to put it on the network? And so we started working toward that, and thankfully we got there.
So there you have it, May 18th on Showtime. Deontay Wilder takes on Dominic Breazeale from the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. So looking at the heavyweight landscape, we got Wilder Breazeale. Then we have Anthony Joshua against Jarrell Big Baby Miller, and it was announced by Top Rank and ESPN over the weekend. Tyson Fury takes on Tom, may the Schwartz be with you. I have to be honest. When this was announced, everyone was like, ugh.
Wah, wah.
Wah.
I'm okay with these fights if
They lead to something.
they lead to something. You're exactly right. But we don't know where they lead to. If we go back to back on this tier, that's bad.
Yeah, if it's a round robin of doing a round robin of nothing,
No.
we have a real issue. So Fury Schwartz, my understanding, will be on ESPN, plus June 15th in Viva Las Vegas. Speaking of heavyweights, we had heavyweight action at the Hangar in Costa Mesa, California on ESPN. Kubrat Pulev overcomes a bad cut and a rough fourth round to stop Bogdan Dinu in 7 rounds. Pulev is the IBF mandatory for Anthony Joshua. Mario, I think Pulev is a solid top 10 type of guy for this era. Rugged, strong, and you know what? Look, it wasn't Lyle Foreman. Still a pretty entertaining heavyweight battle.
Yeah, it was. And I think he's a guy who, if you mix him with any of the champions, could be entertaining. Maybe it's a notch above what we're seeing right now. I'd be okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
But does he have enough to get over the hump and maybe rock one of the belts? I don't know. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, and also the co-feature on this night was Jesse Magdaleno with a 10-round decision over Rico Ramos. The best way I could summarize this bout is that Magdaleno did very little. Reluctant Rico did even less. Moving on, this past Sunday night on FS1.
You're like Trump with these nicknames.
Yeah, what a battle we had at the MGM National Harbor from Oxon Hill, Maryland. Sergey Lipinets sends Lamont Peterson into retirement, stopping him in 10 rounds. Mario, early candidate for Fight of the Year in 2019.
Yes. Ooh, this is my kind of fight. This is my kind of fight. You know I love me some inside fighting, and
This was trench warfare.
I love it. I love it. That's how I love to fight. That's how I love watching fights. And there's I think it's so underrated, the nuances and the skill level.
Yeah.
And it takes a real craft to be slick in there and to break it down. Peterson, I've always liked him too. He's like a hard worker.
Blue collar.
Blue collar. Seems like a good guy. Puts in a decent effort. Has that beautiful hook to the body.
Yeah.
Very Mexican style with that hook to the liver. And he was winging it, and it was working for him. And it looked like he might be a little bit too big for Lipinets early on. But Lipinets, what a tough guy, man. What a tough guy, because he was taking some shots. But every time he was catching that hook, he would answer with that right, too. And he just kept weathering the storm and putting pressure, and slowly ended up systematically breaking him down. And Peterson ended up taking some big shots, came up, and I thought his corner,
Barry Hunter. Good call with the towel.
Excellent call with the towel. But what an impressive victory with Lipinets. And this is now with the Mikey Garcia fight, and this Lipinets is really
he's solid.
He's solid, and he's getting some buzz. But yes, I think a contender so far. That was a fun fight, and the fact that he retired at the end of it, and it was in his hometown.
That was poignant, that announcement, wasn't it?
It was. It made it a special evening.
You know, Sergey Lipinets, I thought first 6-7 rounds, Peterson was beating him to the punch. He looked a little bit quicker.
Right.
But from the 7th and especially the 8th, the tide turned.
Yes.
And I thought Father Time favored Sergey Lipinets.
It was almost like like in the middle of the fight, you saw him get old, or just Lipinets just a tough customer. Those kind of guys, you got to be in your prime and really, really sharp to face.
Look, I don't know if Sergey Lipinets can battle Errol Spence or Terrence Crawford. Those two guys, we've made it clear, at a certain echelon
right.
a cut above. But everyone else at 47, Sergey Lipinets is now adjusted to 47. He's with Joe Goosen, who seems to be a very good stylistic fit. Mm-hmm. When you face him, you better pack your lunch and your hard hat. It's 36 minutes of hard work.
You're going to be in a fight. That's exactly. There's no easy out with that kid. You're going to be in a fight.
And also, Lamont Peterson, look, he's always had, to me, a solid career. I didn't like the way the last 3-4 years of his career were handled under the PBC banner, where he wouldn't fight for over a year. I've always enjoyed him. Mm-hmm. And, again, I think it's the right time, because the way he was getting hurt at the end of that fight,
right,
And I just said, you know what? I don't know where you're going at this point. And I hope he saved his money. He's had a great story about homelessness, him and his brother. To use boxing to make something better of their lives is a great story. So I want to wish Lamont Peterson well. Very, very good fighter who had a very good career.
Yes.
And Mario, you and Nico last night made a cameo appearance at the Avalon in Hollywood Fight Nights presented by 360 Promotions.
I'm a fan of the Sunday night fights. I love the Sunday night fight move. And that was sort of a late afternoon into night. I like that, especially with the football season being gone and everything. You know, you don't stay out too late. It's a fun evening, and that's a great venue, the Avalon. If you're ever in LA and you hear fights that are at the Avalon, it's not a bad seat in the house, and it's a really good time. Yeah, my kid, you know, he's only 5 years old, so he's good for about 2 fights.
He hung in there though.
He hung in there.
So
He ended up. I brought him in the ring, and has a good. Yeah, and we had a good time, and so it was a lot of fun.
Your son's stacking skills of cups.
Yeah.
You should be in competition.
Yeah, exactly.
That was some.
He's
got a
5, so he's
future
doing.
as an architect. He's gonna build some great buildings.
He was tackling you and punching you.
He was doing some good stuff.
Right.
A couple things here. Ali Akhmadev, Triple G Promotions, light heavyweight, blue collar, solid win. Sergey Boachuk. I have to tell you, I think he's got a real future. He's kind of like a white version of Munguia, but maybe a little bit more contained. He blew out Cletus Mookie Pendarvis in 4 rounds. One critique of the show: you don't need 9 fights on a club show. Let's speed it up. You don't need to be 5 hours in. And also, by the time Boachuk got in the ring, most of the audience had left.
Well, that's a
your
long
main
time
event.
for a fight, man.
Yeah.
6 hours? My gosh, that's like a marathon. Plus, people got to work the next day.
Yes, they do. Mario, moving on Saturday from the city of brotherly love on the worldwide entertainment leader, ESPN, the WBC 175 champion, Alexander the Nail Gvozdyk takes on Dudu Ngombu. This is what Teddy Atlas had to say about Gvozdyk's last fight. I asked him for a grade on his victory over Adonis Stevenson if he would change anything.
I would give him an A. I would give him an A. The only mistake he made was in the 10th round when he did get a little aggressive with the jab. He did throw it from too close. He got time to left hand and he got hurt. But his character came through. You know, the telling of a champion, the character of a champion. He survived it. But other than that, which you know, how much can you? I mean, really, how realistic is it to expect someone to fight perfect? He came close to it. For me.
So, contrary to popular belief, you can please Teddy Atlas. Now, Mario, looking at the landscape at 175, we've got the Nail, we got Sergey Kovalev, we've got Dmitry Bivol, and we have Artur Beterbiev.
And we've got
Marcus Brown.
No, but also who just moved out, Zurdo.
Gilberto Ramirez.
Gilberto Ramirez
right.
just moved up.
Makes his debut April 12th. Can you even rank the light heavyweights right now, or do you say right now is incomplete?
Ooh, that's a talented class. I mean, obviously you got to give it to Kovalev.
On lineage. So you like the history.
Right, I think so. But I think you mix and match them, and I think that's a 50-50 division right there.
I would go
right.
I would go Kovalev based on what you said.
Right.
History,
I'd go
track record.
Kovalev, Bivol.
I'd go Bivol too.
Right.
Based on but even though I don't think he's a complete fighter, but again, he's still evolving. He can still improve. And he's the youngest guy out of all these guys that we mentioned at the belt holder. He's only 27, 28
I know, very
years old.
athletic and well skilled.
Then I'd go, you know what, and I'd make him 2B, the Nail.
Right.
Gvozdyk, because I think him and Teddy Atlas work. Certain guys just work with each other, and they fit like a hand in glove. And then Beterbiev, I mean, he's had more layoffs and lawsuits than fights, so he's kind of the unknown, but he's going to get back on track May 4th.
You think Zurdo will be able to? I mean, he was obviously a champion in the weight class before, big kid. You think he'll be able to come in and slide right into the mix?
He's got good boxing skills, tall, rangy southpaw. And I wonder, were some of his struggles late in fights due to the fact he's stretching down to make 68?
I can't believe he made 68.
Right.
He's such a big dude. So I'm going to say yes. You know, in MMA recently, in the UFC, there was a huge upset this past, not to digress, but with Anthony Pettis over a Wonderboy. This guy has never been knocked out. He went up weight class, and this is now back-to-back. 2 fights, 2 fighters who were struggling. They were gone up weight classes. They both knocked out their opponents. They both look. It says a lot when you're fighting.
They had their legs underneath them.
They had their legs underneath them.
Makes a huge difference.
It really does. That's my point. So we'll see. Ramirez, I think, will look a lot sharper, definitely stronger.
Yes. Also, the co-feature on this night, welterweight contender Mean Machine Kovalishkis takes on Not Sugar Ray Robinson. Also, Fantasy Springs, Indio, California. I'll be making the drive into the Zone. And your main event is lightweight prospect Ryan Garcia taking on Jose Wonderboy Lopez. Mario, last week I found it interesting. It was a media day at the Legends Gym out there. I forgot what city. I think it's Maywood or whatever. Ryan Garcia is the guy that everyone came to see. There were other fighters. Listen, Ryan's the star, right? Everyone's waiting around. Big guys like Jaime Mota, FS1 brought in their whole crew, want to do a big feature. All of a sudden, the Golden Boy staff tells us
no show.
Logistical reasons. And I'm like, and all of us just went, ugh. I left because I can interview other people. Look, I want to talk about the main event kid. Now, there's several theories as to why he didn't show up to this media day, that him and his manager are having a falling out, but I've heard that's been patched up. I heard that he didn't want to go to the gym at Legends because his father had a run-in with another trainer last year, and they got basically thrown out of there. There's also a theory that they didn't want to talk about the baby mama situation and the cease and desist from Golden Boy to Mayweather Promotions.
I think the last two are probably the most
They're shielding
valid.
him.
Yeah, I mean, look, he posted about he had a little girl.
Congratulations to him, by the way.
Congratulations, but then he turned off his comments. You know,
hell has no fury like women scorned, right?
I mean, and so yeah, that, and then I think the Mayweather situation, which I think is a little bit blown out of proportion. But you know, look, young guy, obviously, he's our first social media / fighting star.
Agreed.
Right?
Yeah.
And so there's been no blueprint. There's no one to really know how to manage or handle that. Other than, you know what, focus on your fighting and let someone else worry about that.
But isn't social media like the sword? You live by it, you die by it.
Yeah, and listen, he's become very popular.
And polarizing.
Exactly. But that's a good thing, right, in the sport?
If you can fight.
Right. If you can fight. That's the thing. And if you're not, and if your focus is too much on the former rather than the latter, then that's not good.
Mario, last year as we spoke to Ryan, we actually had him in studio. He was like this ambitious kid saying, I want to fight for the title.
Yeah.
I want to take on Tank Davis. Now I don't even hear from him. I don't even know what the focus is. I don't know what the goal is. I've even been told that Golden Boy has told the Zone, let's not do a lot of pre-fight stuff right now. So there's certainly some stuff going on. I've requested an interview because, look, I'm not going to pry into his personal life too much, but I do want to ask him, are you able to focus, and what are your goals? Has anything changed in 2019?
I talked to him like 2 weeks ago, coincidentally.
Right.
Because right before he was going to have the baby and everything. So we pretty much talked about that and talked a little bit about his fight.
Where's his head?
So I didn't want to, you know. I mean, listen, it's a game changer when you're about to have a kid, right? Especially
at that age,
bro. It wasn't 40. I can imagine when you're 20. So yeah. So I didn't want to overwhelm him with all that. Just, hey, you're gonna be all right. You got a family to support you. Blah blah blah. It's you know. But from now on, you better wrap it up. You don't want to start coming out here like Antonio Cromartie. Start wrapping it up.
Yeah.
So I was like, the big brother is like, hey buddy, you got to start wrapping it up. Your pull-out game's weak. You got to obviously start wrapping it up. I mean, right?
Yes.
So far.
Family advice from Mario Lopez.
Hey, I got you know.
Listen to Uncle Mario.
Big brother right there. Yes.
Also on this card, Angel Tito Acosta, the WBO junior flyweight titleist, takes on Ganigan Lopez. And also one guy to look out for, Rocky Hernandez, who's considered one of the very good Mexican prospects, is now co-promoted by Golden Boy. He makes his debut under their banner, and a couple of Frank Espinosa's kids are also on this bill. Mario, let's go to news and notes here. Plenty of fights are being announced, the stuff that I've heard of, stuff that's been reported. May 4th, on the Canelo-Danny Jacobs undercard from Las Vegas, David Lemieux looks like he's going up to 68. He takes on John Easy Ryder, who's he's number 1 in the WBA. So he wins this fight.
Wow.
And guess who the WBA champion is? One of them? Canelo. So it kind of fits.
Wow, he's going to go up to 68. If you ever stood
Mario,
next
he
to
hasn't made 60
I
in
know.
2 out of his last 3 fights.
He's a small guy, though, even
Right.
for 60. So for 68, but talk about a guy who already had a lot of power, maybe not cutting weight.
Maybe needs his legs back.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, May 11th on Fox, one of my favorite fighters, and I think this is one of the better fights on the schedule. Jarrett Thundering Hurd takes on J-Rock Julian Williams. I like this fight.
That's a good fight.
Also, it looks like on May 18th, Alexander Usyk in Chicago. The Windy City will be making his heavyweight debut, taking on Carlos Takam. Solid guy. You know what? You got to give Usyk credit. He's not just dipping his toe in. He's at least going into his ankle or calf.
I'm really curious to see how he's going to look that night.
And finally, Oscar Valdez, WBO featherweight titleist. He will take on somebody June 8th on ESPN.
Nice that he's busy.
And also, this is something that's kind of distressing to me. And again, not my business. I'm not the one getting hit. It's not my eye. I had figured that Abner Mares, after his latest retina surgery that made him pull out against Tank Davis, would be retired.
Yeah.
Well, he posted on social media this last week, "I'm cleared to return." And I'm like, no. You should have taken that as a sign from God not to return. I don't like this move, and I like Abner.
Yeah,
I like it.
It's hard to tell someone what to do with their body, right? Sometimes you got to learn things the hard way. But hopefully, yeah, he doesn't get hurt.
And Mario, Freddie Roach, our good friend over at Wildcard Boxing, he has a new fighter. He has a beast, literally. Ivan Baranchyk, the IBF 140-pound titleist. He is now under his guidance. Good move.
It is a good move. He's getting quite the solid stable over there. He was looking good in his new 3 knockdown rule T-shirt.
Boy, that looks sharp on him. And we'll have more on that. Yeah, a couple of things. I was speaking to various people around Baranchyk's team, the promoter or one of the promoters and the managers. There's still not a clear, definitive yes or no if he's in that World Boxing Super Series. He is scheduled to take on Josh Taylor. I get the sense that he's not in it, and which is unfortunate. So I don't know what Josh Taylor's going to do if he needs a fight. Let's move on to the Ask Mario segment of this show. First question or first comment from Cosmic Bandito. Should Mikey Garcia's loss to Spence automatically take him out of the Pacquiao sweepstakes? I remember Pac fighting Morales off a loss. Also, I think there's a good chance Mikey brings bigger numbers with the Mexican/Filipino rivalry than any of the other PBC welterweights.
I mean, I don't have a problem with it. I don't think it'll be the next fight, and it depends on who Pacquiao decides to face next, right? Because if he faces Spence, then
and he's not. Trust me, he's not.
Right. Well, yeah. It was hypothetically. Then obviously it would be a moot point. But if he faces someone like a Thurman
or Danny Garcia,
and he's able to be victorious, then yeah.
Going back to that comparison, I remember when Morales lost prior to the Pacquiao rematch. It was against Zahir Rahim in a really bad stylistic fight.
I was at that fight.
At the Staples Center.
Yeah.
The difference is he just kind of got stunk out. You kind of said, oh, bad style. They made a mistake.
Right.
But he didn't get beat up.
Not at all.
But that's the difference. And here's the thing with Mikey. I don't know where he is, and then we got to figure out, does he want to stay at 47? Does he want to stay at 40? Can he get down to 35? No. I know one thing, Bob and Todd at Top Rank, they're throwing water all over the Lomachenko fight. They're flat out saying that fight is now 0.
Yeah, he wants to go back down, too. From what he's spoken to him, what he said, he wants to go back down. Now, whether that's 35 or 40, I don't know.
Spoke to Sean Gibbons, matchmaker at MP Promotions, very close confidant of the Pac-Man. He says Senator Pacquiao, his plans based on his schedule, he wants to fight in the late summer, late July, and maybe one more time. But again, he has other responsibilities in his native country.
Well, he's a senator.
Right. Here's one from Corrosive Joseph. What do you guys think of Trout getting $100 million more than Bryce Harper? Completely worth it. In my view, if there's one, I don't like these long 10-year contracts.
Yeah,
but if there's one guy that's worth it that I would trust, it's Trout.
I agree with you. These long contracts seem to do the whole team a disservice, too. By the way, how do you think the morale is in that locker room when that guy's making that money?
If it's
too,
Trout,
right?
I think everyone says, thank God he's around.
I think
he's that solid of an individual.
No, I think he's a solid individual and that of a player, too.
Yeah.
He's sort of a perfect storm. So if anyone's worth it, I can't think of anyone else who might be close to it, to be honest.
Right. And he's still
Harper, Machado, those guys are like a slight
right.
They're all world class.
And he's mid-20s, Mike Trout. It's not like he's late 20s. So
don't think it's going to matter to the Angels, though. He's going to remain in irrelevance down in Anaheim.
Well, I hope that Artie Moreno understands you have yourself a Hope Diamond. You have yourself someone special.
Yeah.
Give him a shot to do some great things as a team. Look, I think it would be a shame a guy of his caliber who's like the modern-day Mickey Mantle but healthier. If he doesn't have any postseason success, it'll seem a little empty.
That's what I'm talking about, exactly.
Yeah, and here's one from Brad White, and this goes into what I sent you this weekend. Who can Marcos Maidana beat at 147?
Damn, if you make 147, that video I saw of him hitting the mitts, my man looked like he was out of breath after like 3 combos and really, really slow. I think it'd be dangerous if he tries to go down to 147 right away. He should take a fight like at 160 maybe.
160?
If he can make it.
160?
Dude, the dude was like 2-something. So it's going to be hard on your body. Maybe I think a 160, then 54, then 47. Honestly, he was huge, bro. He was coming in huge.
Well, look, he's a little short guy, and look, the joke is he's as wide as he was tall.
Yeah, he was enjoying his retirement. Good
yeah,
for him.
Look, my guy Sean Zattel, who took that video, did say that there were other clips where he looked a little bit faster. Look, speed,
Even a little bit faster would have been.
Yeah, well, look, he's never been a speed demon. He's about having very heavy hands.
Yeah.
But you got to be able to deliver punches. And I don't know. I mean, it's been such a long layoff.
Right.
He lived it up the right way. And I just wondered, does he need the money? Like, why did he come back? What is the real basis of this comeback?
Yeah, one would assume that's the only reason.
And here's a question I missed last week. It's a very philosophical one. I feel as though we need to hit this. I think the 3 knockdown rule deserves to hear our version of this answer from Lucas. Are hot dogs sandwiches, and if so, is a burrito also a sandwich?
No, a hot dog is a hot dog. It's
But doesn't it have 2 pieces of bread, though? Holding together
no,
meat on the middle?
but it's one piece of bread. It's one piece of bread. That's like in a U shape.
That opens up.
Yeah, that's like a pita. You wouldn't call that a sandwich, right?
Yeah, it's a pita sandwich.
What's a pita? Isn't it?
A pita
Okay,
sandwich.
that was a bad example.
Okay.
But that was a bad example.
Yeah.
But no, I think the sandwich has to be separate. The pieces of bread have to be separate for
Sliced.
it to
I
be
don't know what the
considered.
rules are. Yeah, it's a good question.
I think a hot dog is its own deal.
Or so then is a burrito a wrap then? Right?
No, a burrito was a burrito. A wrap is a burrito. The burrito was before the wrap.
Okay.
That was Americanized.
Oh, okay.
Right
All
there.
See, all right, now we have
Yeah.
clarification
By the
on
way,
that.
what's his name? Diaz, Robert Diaz. I still think about the burrito he brought in
That's
the studio.
unbelievable.
breakfast
That
burrito.
breakfast.
Yeah.
Did you eat it? Did you
I
have
didn't.
it? You didn't eat it?
No.
Well, who did I give it to? Did I give it to you?
Kyle ate it in the back.
Oh, that breakfast burrito was bomb.
It was unbelievable. I had mine cold, and
Wasn't
I said,
it?
imagine how good this would be when it was warm.
Oh yeah, no, you got to eat those warm.
Yeah,
bro.
so Robert's definitely coming back, if not for the stories,
For
for
the
the burrito. Going on to the final flurries. Boy, my flags are at half-mast. The greatest tight end I've ever seen has announced his retirement. Rob Gronkowski
Really? The
walks
greatest
off
ever?
into the sunset.
You know, would we say the greatest ever?
Here's what. Let me just put this here. Not in terms of stats or longevity, because that would be
right,
Tony
no,
Gonzalez.
right,
But
right,
in
or
terms-
Antonio Gates.
But at his peak, like a Gale Sayers who had
Right,
a
I
short
get
run,
you.
or a Sandy Koufax, how they revolutionized and
Sure.
changed the game. Rob Gronkowski was the one guy you could put him out as a wide receiver.
Yeah.
He could be on the end. He could block. He could go down the seam. He could run any route. And he's a mismatch for wherever you put him in.
Yeah.
Cornerback, too small.
That was a monster.
Safety, too slow. Linebackers, you can't even do it. And look, he had some injuries. His stats don't tell you how good he was.
Right.
I don't know if he's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Is he that good outside of the Patriots?
Yes. That size and speed, yes.
But
But
there was other tight ends at that size. The kid from Jimmy Graham too was a beast.
But you still
Monster.
have one.
Or Vernon, what's his name?
Vernon Davis.
from 40, the fastest tight
Vernon
end
Davis
ever.
couldn't catch like Gronk can.
Right.
No, right. He
And
couldn't. But
remember-
man, was he fast.
Yeah.
Jimmy
Oh.
He was
Graham,
fast.
outside of the Sean Payton system, has kind of been exposed as a one-dimensional guy.
Well, that's why.
He's soft.
Right. That's why I was asking about Gronk too. Outside of Belichick's
and
system,
Gronk
do you think
can
he'd
flat
leave?
out block. And also, look, Gronk this year was about 2/3 of himself.
Right.
Go back to the Kansas City game, that game-winning drive.
Mm-hmm.
Gronk was making some plays. Super Bowl drive, the game is tied late in the fourth
Oh
quarter.
no, of course.
Who made some plays?
No, dude, he's
Gronk.
a monster. But when you say best ever, then you got to think about guys like Tony Gonzalez, Antonio Gates, but-
Kellen Winslow,
Kellen
John Mackey,
Winslow.
Mike
Exactly, that's
Ditka.
what I'm
Right.
saying.
I mean, but look, I
But in
certainly,
his spurt,
Yeah.
his short spurt, yeah.
And
pound for pound,
in my
in
view-
his prime.
in my view, he's on the Mount Rushmore, and in 5, 6, 7 years, he'll be giving the funniest Hall of Fame speech ever.
His agent says today, though, if Tom called him mid-season, he could show up.
Oh, really?
this
So
one
wait a
knows the
minute.
house.
What is he like? Cher retires every.
Jason
He
Witten.
comes back.
Jason Witten.
Yeah,
Like, took a whole
well,
year
Antonio
off.
Gates retired too, and then he came
Yeah.
back when the kid got hurt.
But doesn't Gronk have the look of a guy that could do some acting, WWE?
WWE.
Like, he's
I don't know
versatile.
about the acting. He looked like
Yeah.
he looks like the dude in Revenge of the Nerds, like those older kind of.
on
He
PEDs.
looks like those guys. Yeah.
And Mario.
I don't know if he could do the WWE now that I think about it.
Why
Those
not?
guys, because you got to be smart and you got to have personality
If you
and you
can-
got to be somewhat charming. Really, you
Oh,
do.
He can do that. And look, if you
Really?
can figure out the Patriots playbook, you can do professional wrestling. Mario.
I don't know. Those guys are. You got to give the WWE guys a little more credit.
Zion Williamson, alive and well. Boy, they got away with one yesterday.
I can't believe it came that close. By the way, I'm not a big Duke fan. I like Zion.
I
a
like
lot.
Zion, that's it.
I like Zion. I
just
don't know.
wanna
Like,
see-
you don't get on this Duke band.
But he had another great game. But it's amazing. UCF had this 7'6" guy,
7'6". That kid's amazing.
Taco.
Yeah, unreal.
Yeah.
He literally can block shots just by holding up his arms. He made big men look like Muggsy Bogues.
Where's he go in the draft? You think?
Is he going to be drafted? I mean, he's 7'6". I don't think that
How do
automatically.
you not? Of course, at 7'6" here. Of course, you're drafted at 7'6". What's the matter with you?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, look, there has to be a place from
Are
somewhere.
you kidding? Of
Yeah,
course.
there's 2 rounds. He'll get picked.
Yeah, just that size. He clogged the lane.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But I'm just glad Duke
no one's
is-
7'6".
Yeah.
you got
The last 7'6" player that I can recall was Sean Bradley,
Yeah.
the Stormin' Mormon out of BYU.
The new bull, too.
And he was on a
something
lot
like-
of posters, Sean Bradley. Guys used to look like great pleasure in just dunking on him. He made a
Right.
lot of slam centerfolds. Mario, us. This is what I'm hearing about us. Like I just heard
What about
do a
you and
radio
I
clip-
or the
no,
movie?
Us, the movie.
Okay, the Jordan Peele movie.
That
yes.
it's doing very well at the box
It
office.
did make $70 million.
But people that have watched it, some of them are saying it's an awful movie.
They said it was whack, huh?
Wiggity wiggity whack.
Wow,
Yeah.
just not scary or poorly done, or what are you hearing?
Yeah, all of that.
All of that.
All
okay.
of that. Just a poor movie. Just a poor movie.
You like horror films?
Not really.
Really?
Look, I don't really watch a lot of modern day films. Like
what do you
a
mean you don't watch a lot of?
Let's put it this way. When
what are you going back to Casablanca?
all,
what do you mean?
all I watch is Karate Kid reruns, Bad News
Oh my
Bears,
God!
and Caddyshack.
You're like my kids. They watch the same 3
Yeah.
Disney movies over and over. You watch.
Look, when we
I don't watch
during
modern day.
during
What's the matter with
Thanksgiving
you?
weekend, when me and you went to watch Creed 2 at the theater, that's the first time I had been at the movie theater to watch anything in about 2-3 years.
Damn.
Right.
That should be our thing
Yeah.
in the holidays. I'll take
Yeah,
you to the
so,
movies, Kim.
I don't know. Have you seen it yet?
Because I have not seen it. I won't go seek out like a horror movie, but I like them. I'll watch them if it comes out at home or in a hotel or whatever. I'll definitely check it out.
Well, and I don't want to be the old guy, get off my lawn guy, but
You already are.
yeah, I already am. But when I saw the previews of it that one time, and I think I was with you, when the family is going to whatever vacation destination,
Santa Cruz.
Santa Cruz, right? And they're playing 5 on it.
Have
by
you
the
seen it,
Loonies.
Nichols?
No, but I just saw
You
him
just know there's
previously.
Santa-
I grew up going to Santa
Yeah,
Cruz.
and they're playing 5 on it by the Loonies. Great song in the mid
I
'90s.
got 5.
Right, and
Yeah.
I'm like, that's not exactly a family song. I'm thinking right there, it already lost credibility with
Oh
me.
my God!
Uh,
right there, that's what
yeah,
did it.
It's a classic right there. The remix with E40, come on.
Yeah. Mario, is the Mueller report the biggest letdown since Mayweather Pacquiao to certain people?
Well, I don't know about the Mueller report, but the Mueller report.
Yeah, Mueller, whatever his name is.
Wow, that was crazy. The reaction, huh? Over 2 years, and not exactly what the media wanted,
Yeah.
or at least the general media.
To me, I just thought, okay, let's see what comes out.
But they're not giving up. They're still
They're
going to
not? What?
pursue with the
Come on.
investigation, which I don't think is going to bode well for the Dems. Yeah, it's a crowded field over there. So, do you think? What do you like? Do you like Trump's chances in 2020?
I think anyone that rules him out, I think is very misguided because as it was shown in 2016, I wouldn't believe the polls because I think a lot of people, and again, I'm not making a political statement. I don't even vote, for better or worse. Let me just get that out there. But
All right, Kaepernick.
I believe, but I'm not taking a knee. There's a huge,
That's
I'm not
true.
Kimpernick here. But see,
Kaepernick.
a lot of people may not want to admit that they are Trump supporters publicly.
But then they'll get behind
Because they
that
know the
curtain.
stigma, but when you get behind
Right.
the privacy of that curtain and you have the chance to put that check mark next to Donald J. Trump's name, obviously that's what happened.
I just think the Mueller report, the Blasey Ford situation, Jussie Smollett, all that stuff, this whole Green New Deal talk, all that stuff, I don't think is going to bode well. It's going to get really interesting, and people are going to get behind that curtain, and you might see him again. You know, it's interesting because you usually see these presidents start to age. He looks more rested than ever.
He's getting
right?
it.
You know,
Wait
they
a minute,
age. He's
Mario.
only 2 years in, but
Getting
still.
in a lot of golf, though. Let's be honest. He's getting in a lot of golf. I will say that about Mr. Trump there.
He looks like he's eating well.
I saw a recent documentary. I think it was on A&E on the building of a dynasty, Trump. It was like a 2 or 3 part series. I have to tell you, that's a fascinating life he lived. No, I'm not. And again, I'm not
Oh
supporting.
my
him.
God! Wait a minute. Not to digress
Yeah.
real quick, but okay. Thank you for that heads up. Have you seen the documentary "Abducted"?
In plain
in
sight.
plain sight.
No.
You've seen?
Now, what's it about?
Dude, this documentary is wild, bro. Let me make that as a strong recommendation.
Nuts.
It is so nuts.
What's it about?
It's about a guy. True story, obviously. A guy who basically manipulates his whole family.
His
Kid-
neighbors.
His neighbor, kidnaps the girl. She's like 9
Yeah.
or 12. Takes her to Mexico, marries her. Which, by the way, no,
Órale.
she's 12 when she takes. Did you know you can get married legally in Mexico at 12?
Órale.
12 years old. Didn't know that. Marries her, comes back, but then, well, I'm giving too many spoilers, but hooks up with the dad. We're talking sexually. Hooks up with the mom. I mean, runs through the whole family. It is crazy, but you got to check it out. It's not even that long of a doc, but you're like, what the?
What
wait,
outlet?
what?
Is it Netflix?
It's on Netflix, but I was laughing through the whole thing because I'm like, it seems like a parody of what what like a 2020 special or something. It does. It was a trip, but I strongly recommend it.
And going back 1 week, again, I got home a little bit late last night, had to watch the FS1 fights. I did not get to watch the second episode of the recent Billion schedule.
You didn't see the second one? I saw the second one last night.
But let me just say, go back to what you said. Boy, this season's off to a good start. Taylor as a female, I was like, hey.
Oh, I was not hey. I liked her better as like a man boy. I did. I liked her better as like that. I like her look better that way.
Going back to that last week episode, I give Axe some credit. I thought he'd be very upset at his guy for getting poisoned, like you failed us.
How can you get upset when you got poisoned?
But he showed a human side by actually caring about it.
Well, that's his buddy. That's his
boy,
but
yeah, you're right. So even the most savage guys have their right-hand men, and they have the
Because he showed nothing but loyalty. Exactly.
Right.
Wait till you see this week's episode. You want me to tell you about it?
No. I'm going to watch it tonight.
All right, check it out.
But great show.
Yeah,
I think
off to a
right
great
now,
start.
pound for
agree.
pound. All right, well, that's it for this week's edition of the 3 Knockdown Rule. On behalf of Mario Lopez and Justin Buffalo Knuckles, this is Steve Kim saying till next week, goodbye, everybody.